Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Davo from Archon Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast today. This time on Daybreak. This time a TVT. Awesome. So, in the top right-hand corner of our map today, we have our blue Terran, who is DeCLunar. Awesome, and he is from the US servers, just like our other one actually today, but I'll get to him in a minute. And he is 188 APM on average, and at the time of this game being played, he was ranked 2nd in Masters. Excellent. Also showing some really cool planning skills and awesome timings by getting the SCV out straight away to build the supply depot straight from the command center. That is the apex of being organized right there. And then in the bottom left hand corner we have our red Terran today, who is Tethys. I believe that is how you say the name. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm very sorry. But you know, that is just the way I kind of perceive it to be said. The Tethys, I think I'll say Tethys from now on, has 157 APM on average and is ranked 14 Masters player. Cool. Also from the US servers as well. Brilliant. Loving life. Cool beans. So both players going a very standard Terran opening, and again following pretty much the same timings as well. You could say that Tethys is slightly ahead, but that's only in how quickly he is making his SCVs. It's a fairly negligible amount, but obviously as the level of play gets higher and higher in StarCraft, then, well, it does matter how far or behind your SCVRs, because everything stacks up very nicely. Daybreak being one of my favourite maps. It has 3 lanes of attack. What I mean by lanes of attack is ways that you and your opponent can get to each other. One has just been very nicely demonstrated by that SCV there, going up and round. So that is the bottom lane of attack. The top one up and round, and then a middle one which is blocked off by some rocks, some destructible rocks. Each lane of attack at each end has a Xel'Naga watchtower on there. Basically, so you can see your opponent coming. Therefore, again, the Xel'Naga watchtowers are incredibly important for this map. Awesome. I do like to always stress the importance of Xel'Naga watchtowers, as it, you know, whoever controls Xel'Naga watchtower controls a good proportion of the map, or at least they can see it. So, it's very important, really. So we do have DeCLunar setting up his expansion right about now, so he is kind of just going a sort of a fast expand build. It's a safe fast expand. He does have a barracks as well. I know that quite a lot of people would consider TVT long and drawn out, but I personally love it. I think it's brilliant, especially when they get siege tanks and blow each other to pieces, because that is how I am. That's how I feel about TVT. It's really fun, and if you have your physics turned up, it's oh so good to watch. It's very fun indeed. And besides, they have a certain air of epicness about them. I think this matchup does. Yeah, a certain air of epicness. Right, so we do have both players not going for tanks anytime soon, it would look like. Oh well, actually we do have 2 gas on DeCLunar's base right about now. And that does yell at me to say that he is going to go into factory and maybe starport sometime very soon indeed. And we also have 3 barracks. So again, both players building roughly the same sort of stuff, mainly the barracks play, and it does look again like we're going to be hoofing out into factory play pretty soon. Quite a lot of barracks come down for Tethys, seeing as he only has 1 base at the moment. So it will be interesting to see what actually happens here. We also have Stim on the way for Tethys as well, so we might just see a timing push come out with lots of bio units when the Stim finishes. That is something that I could see to be incredibly likely at the moment, because that's quite an early Stim that's gone down. A cautionary scan going down there for DeCLunar, seeing what his opponent is up to. I'm not actually sure if DeCLunar will see. Yeah, so he's seen pretty much everything that his opponent is up to right about now. including the expansion, so there is no pulling the wool over DeCLunar's eyes, as it were, at the moment. Quite a lot of Marines just standing here waiting for their orders to move out, and more importantly waiting to get their drugs they can inject into their arms and make them faster and stronger, just like the song, if you know which song I'm on about. Gotta get faster and stronger, that one, yeah. Okay, so we do have some Marines moving out here now. Awesome. And a very, very small transfer indeed from the main base going into the natural right about now. So both players are on 2 base at the moment with varying degrees of saturation. DeCLunar going a bit safe and getting some bunkers up as well. Of course, the bunkers are the building that will stop people in the mid game or the short game from doing too much damage. I have just noticed that the StarCraft 2 music is properly going for it at the moment. I'm very, very sorry if it's a bit loud and distracting, but I'll turn it off when it goes a bit quieter so it isn't such a horrible juddering transition. You know what, no, I'll just turn it off now. There you go. Boom. Down it goes. Sorry, no more music. I think music's nice just for the beginning of games, when there isn't so much going on. I feel horrible now. I feel like I've just destroyed people's dreams by turning the music off. But at the end of the day, it might just, especially in a TVT where it's the TVT music just the Terra music just going over and over again, it might just get a bit distracting. You know, Cowboys in Space might just get a bit distracting after a while. That's all I'm trying to say. I feel horrible. Okay, so we have combat shields on the way for both players right now, an engineering base on the way for both players. Notably, DeCLunar has actually got his engineering bay finished first, both his engineering bays finished first, and I think we'll see 1 weapons and 1 armor on the way. Yep, there they are straight away, and we have Marines prowling around the map right about now as well. Also, can I just point out that turning the music off raises the tension quite a bit. Yeah, but again, a little bit of a message as well. To anyone watching this, I implore you to go and look at the dual cast that we did yesterday and leave us some feedback on that as well. That would be really cool, just so you know. That would be really, really nice, really cool. So neither players at the moment going down a sort of siege tank route. We do have some medvacs coming out for DeCLunar right now, so maybe we'll see some drops, or maybe we'll just see him go for a bit of a push. It does look like Tethys was maybe going for a bit of a push with his Marines when Stim finished, but that never came to fruition. The window of opportunity closed where he had Stim and his opponent didn't. Because obviously that is one of the best windows of opportunity you can have. Tethys expanding again in 3rd position up here. Okay. And both players looking, although they are doing very, very similar things indeed. Both players getting their upgrades at very similar times also. So I mean, they're roughly working on the same kind of stuff at the same sort of time, and that is one of the signs that this is going to be a pretty good game, and pretty fun to watch. Now, we do have quite a lot of Marines heading across the map for DeCLunar, just going and having a look at that watchtower already. DeCLunar does actually have a lot more medvacs than Tethys actually has at the moment. Tethys' medvacs slightly more delayed, and obviously the medvacs are going to give him a massive advantage. DeCLunar, that is a massive advantage in this game at the moment. I'm really curious to see where this expansion is going to go, whether DeCLunar is just going to fly it straight over here, or he's going to plonk it down here in where most players would put their 3rd on this map. Interesting to see. So we do have quite a lot of Marines and quite a lot of medvacs comparatively moving out across the map right about now for DeCLunar, and they will surely be spotted pretty soon by this Marine who is on the Zelnaga watchtower. Yep, there we go, and there's a spot coming down from Tethys on DeCLunar's army, and here we go. Here's quite a lot of Marines dying. Ooh. And it looks like Tethys managed to clear that up with relative ease. Good for him. Awesome. Sorry about the flaky camera angles there. Quite a lot of the medvacs from DeCLunar were thoroughly in the way. So I was trying to do a nice bit of GSL camera work and move it about a little bit, but it didn't work so well. it does look like these medvacs are actually going to be able to get back now on moderate amounts of health each. So that is good times. They are going to live to fight another day. This tank that is out at the moment doesn't yet have siege mode. Neither of the players actually have tanks with siege mode at the moment, but I do think that maybe siege mode is something that they're going to have to get into fairly soon. So the expansion, although being built way over here, is actually going to go and be dropped right into the third, where the third base would usually sit in most games. And we do have siege mode on the way for DeCLunar right now, and I think Tethys needs to scout this pretty soon, as he does not even have a siege tank on the field, I don't believe. No, he doesn't. So that's something that Tethys may want to look at pretty soon. And it looks like we're going to have another fairly large engagement. No, we're not. This Marine has been sacrificed to go off and have a look. And unfortunately, he didn't even have a look. He didn't get through the fog of war before those Marines murdered him. Poor guy. Okay, so it does look like we're going to have some drops heading off right about now for DeCLunar. Oh yes. And it does look like he's going to be going around and perhaps even finding his opponent's fourth, which he is. Yep, I don't know if they were just going to use that as a rallying point or whatever, but I'm pretty sure that Tethys doesn't actually know that this is incoming, and this could be pretty dangerous times to be an SCV. Fortunately, there aren't actually many SCVs here. I'm not sure whose scan that is, but it was turned away instantly by DeCLunar. There's also a missile turret, a sensor tower, and this could be very, very bad things indeed. So it doesn't look like that sensor tower is going to go down straight away without a cancel. So that's Tethys losing some minerals here, and it does look like maybe this command center is going to be able to go down soon as well. The whole of Tethys' army is coming in here to try and contain this drop, but unfortunately that medvac doesn't get away quite in time, and all of the souls on board go down with it. But these 4 Marines and the medvac live to fight another day. Awesome. So Tethys got these sensor towers all up the map, and it's a really good idea, especially on this map, because there are so many paths of attack that really needing to know where your opponent comes from is very, very important indeed. Actually, building a sensor tower right next to the... What? That Marine just got murdered for some reason. I believe that was a red Marine, just sort of standing there minding his own business when he gets... I suppose he's a deserter. There we are. Something like that. So we do have 3+ weapons and 3+ armor on the way for both players right about now. Tethys has been diversifying his composition a little bit by getting some marauders out on the field too. Awesome. Ooh, I just definitely dropped the hard drive this is recording to on the floor while it was recording. God, I hope that doesn't mess up the recording. Oh dear, that would be terrible. Right, so we do have siege tanks with siege mode deployed outside DeCLunar's base right now, and this will make DeCLunar's base very, very difficult to push upon for Tethys at the moment. So I think DeCLunar can feel very, very safe at the moment. Maybe he should even go and take a 4th at the moment, which he is actually looking like he's going to be doing. He's built 2 command centers here. Maybe he's going to transform one of them into a planetary fortress later on, and the other one into an orbital command right now. Or is it just a double expand? One expansion coming down right here, which is a fairly good idea because, you know, siege tanks make an area fairly difficult to go into. I believe that's called zoning, where you try and funnel your opponents into a certain area or block off areas. All of the areas inside the dotted lines are called zoning. So Tethys at the moment only knows, well, he's seen everything that is going on here, so that's pretty important to know, and it doesn't look like his whole army is going to be coming down here and doing a little bit of a jig all over a blue army's face. But there are lots and lots of siege tanks on the map as previously stated, and these blue siege tanks from DeCLunar and Marines do look like they're going to be taking down those destructible rocks quite now, and it does look like the red army is going to be coming from behind and trying to take down, and these siege tanks are going to start firing anytime soon. That siege tank there is probably going to get taken out, and so is this planetary fortress for that matter. It did look like DeCLunar was maybe going to go and do a little bit of a push or something, and it does look like maybe we're going to see a massive base trade here fairly soon. We have red army going into blue's base and blue going into red's base pretty soon, with quite a lot of siege tanks in between. So here we are. This does look like we're going to end up with a pretty large base race scenario at the moment. DeCLunar actually has 2 more bases other than his main at the moment as well, so it does look like maybe he has the most survivability out of both the players. Both players are looking fairly well off for supply at the moment. Tethys is actually maxed. It's funny how there was basically no army trade before the base trade took place, which is actually kind of unusual. These Marines just missing the stream of SCVs that are running around the map very quickly. I think both players have thoroughly realised right now that it is actually a base trade. That is it. That is what's going on. So now I guess it is kill or be killed, and there is nothing else to it, unfortunately. I mean, both these Terran armies are quite large. Quite a lot of SCVs are going to get cleared up right at the back here for DeCLunar. Unfortunately for him, I mean, wowee. SCVs surviving in a relatively good number for both players across the map, but this has been a rather extreme base trade going on right here as well. It doesn't look like these SCVs are probably going to start tucking into this orbital command in a minute, or maybe the whole army is just going to come down and start shooting at it instead. Meanwhile, DeCLunar is thoroughly clearing up his opponent's base at the moment. Quite a lot of Tethys buildings have been flying away. Both these players, it is worth to note, both these players have quite a lot of money on them. 4 and a bit grand each, with around 2 grand gas as well. So it's quite a lot. Really, it's plenty of money to rebuild with right there, and we see the major rebuilding of bases going on right now from Tethys as well. And we do have the final base from DeCLunar being cleared up right about now as well, and it does look like DeCLunar is maybe going to come back and try and finish his opponent off, perhaps. And it does look like we're looking at an epic clash of the Titans if the red goes up that ramp, but he didn't. Okay, this is really getting very, very interesting indeed. So now it is in both hands. It is in each player's hands to how they are going to carry on with this game. Whether they are just gonna try and blow each other to pieces, or kill each other's buildings and win the game like that, or destroy each other's armies and win the game like that. And that is the question of the day. Neither player has any income, unfortunately, at the moment. Tethys has 8 more harvesters, but at the moment that isn't too important. What is really important is the carnage that is going down. Ooh, and once those siege tanks get deployed, Tethys' army is going to become very, very thin indeed, but that does depend on whether or not the marine force of DeCLunar can stand up to the battering that it was just receiving. It does look like it can. These siege tanks becoming thoroughly worth it. Siege tanks on the high ground here were also battering a little bit of DeCLunar's army there, and that was a very, very... It was a fair trade either way, it has to be said. I think the amount of medvacs that Tethys has really helped him out there. Really helped him out. I mean, Tethys has more medvacs than DeCLunar has siege tanks, I believe, and that could be a factor of why that battle went so well, went like it did. Basically, we do have both players building up, and they do look like they're just going to be going and remacroing up. So it's not too often where you see players swap each other's bases around like this, especially in games, well, like in TVTs, really. But it'll be very interesting to see what actually happens from here on out. We do have DeCLunar with more firepower with the siege tanks, but no medvacs, so once the units are injured, they're injured at the moment. We have a planetary fortress being morphed, I suppose. I'd say more transformed as we speak, just on this ramp here. And all of the bases actually from DeCLunar are actually going to be planetary fortresses at the moment, apart from... Note, they're all going to be planetary fortresses, apart from maybe this one here, which is sat behind a planetary fortress. But it does look like DeCLunar is going to be playing this game real safe at the moment, and it is probably going to get pushed into the very long game. Okay, so the orbital command that is sat behind the planetary fortress will end up being an orbital command. Awesome. Did I just say orbital command? You know what I mean. There we are. Well, Tethys is going for a more kind of economic proof rebuild with lots of orbital commands all round. Basically, so you can make full advantage of those mules, which of course are very important. It doesn't look like Tethys is actually just kind of going mass marine. He has lots of barracks with just reactors all over them. Of course, that is absolutely no problem at all. Also, he has these 2 cheeky refineries right up here, down here even, so if it comes push to shove, DeCLunar's army is going to have to cross the map to go and get those refineries. Yes, they are. Right, so we have Tethys on 2 base at the moment, and DeCLunar on 3 base at the moment. Even though quite a lot of the bases aren't actually that saturated at all, the saturation is coming, seeing as quite a lot of the SCVs are being resprouted and remade. Good for them. Looking at the unit tab right about now, we can see that DeCLunar has about 30 SCVs, while Tethys only has 15. So I think maybe getting these planetary fortresses could be a wise move from DeCLunar. He is ahead in the SCV count in quite a big way anyway, so perhaps it's not going to put him too far ahead anyway, so that's a good decision from him. Unusually, we do have Tethys Orbital Command sat around quite a lot of DeCLunar's supply depots and various other bits and bobs. I mean, Tethys could come and destroy these supply depots, and that would definitely mean that DeCLunar would have to rebuild them and therefore spend quite a bit of money, but I don't think that's on Tethys' mind right now. What is on Tethys' mind right now is probably expanding and surviving and building more medvacs by the looks of things as well. Okay, so both players have done a very nice expand, very safe expands likewise actually. I think Tethys is being careful not to over-expand himself too much. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to turn the music back on. Ooh, there we go. If any of you get this far, I'd again like feedback whether or not there should be music in casts. I know that, like, maybe I just turn the music on when things get a little bit lax like this, when people are just rebuilding, everyone's macroing up, and that could be a good idea. But I just don't know. I just don't know. So there we are. And it's solely just for more entertainment purposes, I think, music. Yes, indeed. So both players, as I say, macroing back up right about now. The main bases for both of them are pretty much mined out, so there's at least one location that they won't be expanding to. And there is the advert for the eye pistol. Awesome. I had an iPod once. Just a quick shout out. I had an iPod, and well, it broke within like a day of me having it. I'm not the most careless person, but I was very upset with that indeed. Crikey. For a minute I thought it may have been SCVs shooting, but SCVs do not shoot, they just drill and grab. Yay! Okay, so another command center coming down here for DeCLunar right now, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not this gets turned into an orbital command or a planetary fortress. If it does get lifted up here, then I'm sure that Tethys will see it. It does look like Tethys is maybe feeling a little bit restless, and looks like he might be moving out a tiny bit. Right about now, just going to have a quick scout around the bottom of the map, making sure that his opponent hasn't expanded there just yet. But that remains to be seen at the moment. So this command center does look like it's probably going to be moving into position now for DeCLunar. And Cloak Banshee's on the field for DeCLunar as well. Luckily for Tethys, he's built his base pretty well and pretty solidly. And it... Ooh, he isn't probably going to be able to get that missile turret out on time, unfortunately for him. But meanwhile, there's a really large attack going on. Ooh, wow, another crazy exchange with lots of Marines dying, siege tanks blasting away merrily while the medvacs try and heal them up. And it does actually look like Tethys' army will get cleared up very quickly. That could be due to the siege tanks at the back doing a shed load of damage. An absolute shed load of damage. Meanwhile, it looks like that Banshee harass has actually finished. If it was interesting enough, I'll open it in a little window in the bottom right hand corner. Awesome. Oh, okay, so we have another Banshee coming out right now, and I mean, DeCLunar's army is actually looking pretty nice. It's looking quite nice indeed, not too bad. Wow, that fan is loud. Awesome. I mean, he has actually managed to macro up again, and is collecting at a fairly good rate, but I mean Tethys is actually collecting at a better rate at the moment. He has less well saturated expansions, but he does have the power of the mule on his side, and that is something that you cannot tangle with as Terran, is the power of the mule. It's much like the power of love, but instead it's just the power of the mule. Right, so we do have an attack coming up here from Tethys, and it does look like it's going to be going into this planetary fortress to try and cause some trouble. I think maybe, yep, the SCVs are going to get pulled straight onto the planetary fortress now to try and repair that up. The SCVs are beginning to get sniped by the Marines, but I think it might be a little too late from Tethys as DeCLunar's army arrives and flushes out the attackers. Down goes the siege tank, and that is quite a lot less firepower that Tethys actually has at the moment. And it does look at this point in time like DeCLunar might actually just push and go and try and ruin his opponent at this point in time. Tethys' army getting kind of mowed down a little bit, and here we have another big engage from DeCLunar with his siege tanks. Owie, ow, 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 ow. That Banshee has absolutely been going to town. Ooh-wee, ooh. Right, and we do have Tethys' army absolutely going into the siege tanks. Oh, no! Tethys losing quite a lot of his army, unfortunately, and Tethys has left the game even without a GG. Oh dear. Interesting stuff all around. Very, very good. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching, and thank you very much for the replay, guys. It was on Castit on Reddit, so I'm not sure who uploaded it out of these two. I'm really sorry about that. But thanks a lot for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys next time. And cheers. Bye.